AITA for threatening my new neighbors with my dog? For some context, I, F28, just moved from my city to my first house in a suburban neighborhood about 6 months ago. Just me and my dog Oaken, a Dutch Shepherd. My dog is trained as a personal protection dog. PPD. I'm a runner and Oaken runs with me. We were running in our neighborhood's park and pond area. I had my AirPods in. It was just getting dark. I'd noticed in passing a guy on his bike on the same trails. And as we were coming around the pond, he was stopped on our path. He waved us down and said he had dropped his keys. Asked if I had seen them on the path. Asked if I had a light on me because he thinks he dropped them in the grass. Wanted to know if I lived in the neighborhood. Which house was mine. If I was nearby because he didn't see any cars in the parking area that he didn't recognize. Basically anything to keep us there and keep talking. Not scary, but annoying with a definite hint of creepy. After he forgot his initial story and said, "I'm gonna be so pissed at myself if I lost another earbud." That's my third pair and they're nearly $300 a pop. I moved to leave and he stood in the path and started asking about Oaken. Oaken wasn't doing anything aggressive at this point. No hair raised, no growling or barking. He was doing exactly what he was trained to do, and every time the guy would move to get closer to us he would just stand between me and him. The guy asked if he was friendly. Asked to pet him. And I said I'd rather he not. He kept saying dogs loved him. Blah blah. I again said no and we started to walk around the guy to go. That's when he decided it would be a good idea to try to grab Oaken's leash. I have no idea why. Your guess is as good as mine. Oaken backed us up. Low growl. Showed his teeth. Didn't snap. Didn't bite. We left. The encounter was strange enough I posted in the neighborhood app. Nothing accusing the guy of attacking us or anything over the top like that. Just that my dog and I had gotten stopped by a stranger out running, and a reminder not to grab at a person's dog or dog leash without permission. Apparently, park guy's wife read the post and recognized her husband immediately. Because since then she's been telling every neighbor who will listen about my aggressive attack dog. I've now gotten a letter from the WA, and apparently the next homeowners meeting has breed specific bans on the agenda. While I believe Oaken's response was appropriate and controlled, I'm feeling sad and disappointed that my new community has the wrong impression. I'm not out to terrify people. AITA for posting what I posted to the neighborhood app and apparently starting a feud with my new neighbor? Was I wrong for calling out park guy publicly? ETA. Yes. I have a home security system and cameras. The previous homeowners had a couple of collectible cars in the detached garage apartment and put in an extensive system. Park guy's questions about where I lived, etc. didn't immediately set off crazy red flags because I've been asked very similar questions by multiple women multiple times in the neighborhood too. I'm getting the impression I'm the youngest person in the area by a good 20 or more years because people have asked me who my parents are, who I'm visiting, etc. It seems like the only young people hanging around are ones who drive in from other places to get to the park, and this neighborhood seems weirdly territorial about their park. I will definitely talk to an officer about a report. NTA. That interaction was creepy AF, and frankly the guy is lucky that your dog is as well trained as he is, otherwise he may have been bitten. Don't feel sad. Just explain what happened and why you felt uneasy and what exactly led up to your dog displaying aggression. Protectiveness. NTA. Park guy was being a shady creep. You had no way of knowing he was a neighbor. And even if you had, The way he behaved toward you and Oaken was suspicious and bizarre. Especially with changing his story. I'm wondering if there's something deeper going on there with a history of creeping on young women. And the wife knows it. And is just in denial about the veracity of his stories of how he always ends up in these situations with women who are always the ones at fault. But no matter what's at the core of it, whether it's a misunderstanding or something more, you did nothing wrong and were simply being safe when alone after dark and confronted by a strange man. NTA. That guy as a creep. Edited to add. Since your WA is making a fuss, I would make a police report about the incident and let them know. His wife is now harassing you. Fuck hoas. Her husband was been really inappropriate and your dog gave him a very subtle warning. She's being dramatic about your dog, who had a normal and appropriate reaction to a stranger being a weirdo. Because she feels bad about her husband being a creep. Really unfair for you and your dog, and hopefully people see through her crap fast. AITA, make sure to tell everyone about her aggressive predator husband. NTA. TBH, I was scared just reading of your encounter. I'm a victim of repeated harassment and this sounds like he was trying to do some creepy, if not full-out assault type of ish. If he's really so innocent, he needs to chill with that behavior. I would respond with a detailed statement of the interaction like you did here. Call him all the way out. Girl. NTA. I've trained PPD and their off switch as solid as can be. The dog acted how he was trained to perfectly. As a small woman though, I would have been massively uncomfortable and would have told the guy the first was calling the police because he was making me uncomfortable. There is no attack on record, so it's not like the WA can do much. Plus, if they enact the law, then you can usually take them to court to be grandfathered in. That is within your legal right to do. NTA. Her husband was being a creep. And she's clearly ignoring that so that you're somehow the bad guy in this situation. Get in contact with the WA now. Tell them the story. Tell them your dog is trained, and if you really want to make a good impression, tell them they are welcome to come meet him if they want. This is obviously not necessary at all though. Because that dude was creepy and his wife is a dummy. If I were in that situation, I would have wanted my dog to bite him. He would have gotten pepper sprayed too. NTA. They're the ones who grabbed the dog. And trying to get your dog literally killed. Or driving you out of the neighborhood. Is a dumb reaction to a completely natural response. Imagine if someone grabbed you by the shirt collar when you're 7 and holding your parents' hand. Except you actually can commit some good revenge on these types of people. NTA. You didn't know who he was. His behavior was creepy. That's a fair warning for other women in the neighborhood to be alert. NTA. I think his wife is just mad and embarrassed that he was prowling around at night harassing people. NTA. That's when you go to that meeting and point out how wildly creepy and inappropriate park guy was. And he's lucky that all he got was your dog growling at him to back off. He was either creeping on you or looking to steal your dog, for all you knew. And that the next time he tries that, you will call the police and file a complaint. Okay, that thing about him changing his story from "my keys are lost" to "my earbud is lost" is actually terrifying. I am so glad you had your good boy with you. NTA. Obviously. But it might be worth not antagonizing this creep. He and his wife sound like nasty, defensive people. Just keep acting super reasonable and calm. Keep showing the neighborhood how well behaved your dog is. I would suggest inviting various neighbors round for coffee over the coming days. Not those assholes. Serving tasty treats and being sweeter than pie yourself. All while your dog charms them with his calm, good manners. Especially the WA influencers. People do have their own minds. Don't badmouth the assholes. No need for a war of words. If it comes up, just act super sweet and say, honestly, I have no idea what meant, maybe he misunderstood. Good luck. NTA, go to the meeting and tell them that a strange man stopped you while out alone. Kept trying to talk to you as you tried to leave and tried to grab your dog's leash. Say that all you dog did was growl and that you felt very unsafe, especially now that this same man and his family are harassing you and trying to get your dog banned. Turn it back on them and make them have to defend themselves. NTA, you have a right to feel safe. Your dog didn't attack him, just warned him to back off. NTA, he crossed a physical boundary after you told him no and your dog protected you. Should have kept his hands to himself. NTA, it sounds like Oaken may have saved you from Saw. If it hasn't been too long. Honestly. Even if it has. I'd report your neighbor's behavior. I wouldn't be surprised if there haven't been other reports from other women in the area of behavior like this, or even saw or attempted saw. NTA, he sounds like a predator. I'm glad your dog defended you. NTA, you didn't even know who this guy was. You just described an event with an unknown person, whose behavior does frankly come off as suspicious, and ended with a reminder not to grab a person's dog or leash without permission. Which is totally reasonable. She's the one who outed her husband here, and she didn't need to go scorched earth. She could have just not said anything. Or confirmed it was her husband. Not some random out-of-area creep trying to trap women. And apologized. I mean, fucking seriously. If he's old enough to be married, he's old enough to know that blocking the path of a woman when it's getting dark out, trying to prevent them from leaving, and asking invasive questions about where they live is suspicious as fuck. No. She had to go full-on attack your dog. Your dog who backed up and gave a warning only after being approached by a stranger. That's the opposite of being aggressive. Aggressive isn't the absence of friendliness. It's a very specific set of behaviors. Everything Park Guy did here was inappropriate, and I don't think you were wrong to post on the neighborhood app. You didn't know who this guy was. His behavior was creepy. And even without that, grabbing for a dog leash without permission is always a big no-no. I also think it's important that grabbing the leash here would have also functioned as another attempt to essentially detain you. It's not defensible here, especially since you had already told him no. Looks like you're going to need to go to the WA meeting. Because this is bullshit. I am so sorry. Also, Oaken is a fucking fantastic name.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.